Assassin here with ABS Fishing Tips and Tricks here, and today I'm going to teach you guys how to make your own bank sinkers. This is basically what it should look like. Basically, I think bank sinkers are one of the easiest ones to make that any fishing tackle you can make out of lead, mainly because all you have to do is pour your sinkers in, put them in a mold, and then basically trim off any tags. Now the materials that you guys are going to need is most important is your lead mold. As you can see, this one has different sizes. I would recommend getting one of these mainly because you can make different sizes out of just one mold instead of buying one mold with one particular size. A brand called Do It basically makes these. These can be from $54 to $37. I would recommend getting it from a local tackle shop mainly because they're a lot cheaper there. Next, you need your light clippers. Basically, I would recommend getting these at a hardware store mainly because these can be a lot cheaper at hardware stores and they're a lot better made. You can get these from right around $6 to $9. Next is you need your fine file. I would recommend getting a file with very fine grain on it, and especially when you're making these bank sinkers, always have a file with sort of a rod at the end. This rod basically allows you to basically get into the hole of basically into the head and the eye of your bank sinker, basically just to smooth out any tags in there. I would recommend getting one of these at a hardware store. They can be from $10 to $7. Really all depends where you go. And the last next material you need is your lead melting pot. I would recommend getting one of these. As you can see, you can melt lead and pour it at the same time. You don't need a ladle for this. You can melt right around 4 pounds of lead with this, and it's right around $54 to $47. I recommend getting this at a local tackle shop or at Bass Pro. Either way it works. And the most important material that you need is lead. You're going to need a lot more lead for sinkers, mainly because sinkers are made out of lead, so you're going to need a lot more to make sinkers. And that's pretty much all the materials you need. And now I'm going to teach you guys how bank sinkers are better than most sinkers. Basically, bank sinkers are better than most sinkers mainly because they're used for mainly freshwater situations, and they basically roll off rocks and grass. Then basically all the sinkers have a purpose. The bank sinker basically its purpose is just to roll off rocks and grass. Other sinkers such as pyramid sinkers or storm sinkers, they might not really be doing good for freshwater situations, mainly because they're meant to sink inside the sand, not to deflect off objects. So these bank sinkers can be very useful to make, mainly because you can use them for all types of freshwater situations. Usually I use these for catfishing or just bottom fishing in general. I rarely get hung up on these, and they're really cheap to make, and they're a lot of fun to make. So now, once our lead starts melting, I'm going to teach you guys how to pour your own bank sinkers. Okay guys, our lead just started to melt, so now I'm going to teach you guys how to pour your sinkers. But before you always pour your sinkers, always make sure you're wearing the right safety equipment, such as cotton or leather gloves, long sleeve sweatshirts such as this, and I would even recommend wearing safety glasses such as these. Basically, even these are very important, mainly because light can basically splash and basically maybe hit you in the face or eyes. So I would just always make sure you're wearing the right safety equipment. Now I'm going to teach you guys how to pour your own sinkers. Basically, when pouring this, always make sure you're holding from the handle side, not over here or anything, because you basically burn yourself. And these molds can get very hot. Make sure you're holding it tightly, just so there's no space. It should look something like this when you're holding it really tightly. And if there's any space, basically light can fall through and basically burn something. Just always make sure you're holding it really tightly. Now in pouring these, I would always recommend pouring it at a moderate speed, not too fast or too slow. Too fast and basically you could burn something and it could go everywhere. And too slow, the light could cool down quickly. And basically when it starts cooling down quickly, it'll basically get really hard and it'll create layers on your sinker. And basically it could ruin your sinker and make it weak. So just always make sure you're pouring at a moderate speed. Now I'm just going to pour a few sinkers for you guys to see, just so you guys can see what it looks like. And sometimes these sinkers can be very hot, so always make sure you're using your light clippers to pull them out if they're stuck. As you can see, this one's not too hot, so I can hold it. And sometimes you'll get this extra lead on the end. This is why you have your light clippers, just to cut it off. Make sure you don't cut too close, or else you're gonna ruin the sinker. Just cut just at the right angle, and then you just pull it off. As you can see, this one's very good. Doesn't have a lot of tags or anything, but we always make sure to file them down. Here's a smaller one that I made. Just always make sure you clip the lead off. And now, since we melted these down, now we can file. But after you file, always make sure that you unplug your melting pot. One thing I will warn you guys about is the melting pot that I recommended for you guys. This melting pot can get very hot at times, especially when you forget to turn it off after a long period of time. It can overheat at times, so always just make sure you're unplugging the melting pot that I recommended for you guys. But other than that, it's a really good melting pot, so I would always recommend buying that. So now we're going to file down our sinkers. This is basically where the file comes in handy. Always make sure when you're filing these down, always make sure you're filing down under a bucket, basically so any of the lead that falls out basically go in a bucket and not on the ground. And typically there's always tags on the bottom, just really cut it. It can be really sharp at times, so just always make sure you're filing it down nice and smooth. And just take as much time as you need to file these down, just so you get nice and smooth. But as you can see, it's really smooth now. So now, just feel around your sinker just to make sure there's no sharp parts. And one of the most annoying parts about filing this down is sometimes there can be tags in the eye and right around the head of the sinker. I would always recommend just using this rod just to smooth out any tags in the eye. Mainly because these tags can basically cut your line, because this is basically where you tie your line on for the sinker, and this basically cut your line. So just always make sure you smooth it out real smooth. Sometimes there can be some tags around here. Just make sure you smooth out all the tags as possible. And you can basically avoid these tags mainly by just holding the lead, or just by holding the mold really tightly, and that basically eliminates the chance of having any tags. And basically, this is what your finished product is. And you can basically make these in any size or shapes, but I would always recommend using the bank sinker. Bank sinker, in my opinion, is the best for freshwater situations. Well, I hope this video was very informational to you guys. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.